Hey, hold on there. Let's play a little game, shall we? In 3, 2, 1. Chromatic. Now, what was the first thing that came to mind when I mentioned that word? Well, to the beauty and the designers and the art lovers, they're going to think, oh, colors, chroma, colors. But to the musicians, it's a little different. To them, it's any note that is not in the scale degree of the key you are playing in. Now, some of you will be like, duh, easy. But others will be a little confused. I know you'll be a little confused, stay with me. To those of you confused, let me see this. You are not the only one. There was a young gentleman who was as confused as you.
I talked about chromatic. When I hear sound, I hear some chromatic chord notes. So I really find it difficult to apply the chromatic playing.
And today, on the call, we solved the problem. But then, it introduced another problem that I didn't realize. No, but you don't keep your hand on the thumb. You don't keep. No. Oh boy. If you want to know about chromatics and you love a good story, grab a popcorn for this one. And let me show you exactly what happened. What made you want to hop on this call with me?
So I thought your music ability, and I know that you'll be able to put with challenges and faces just as I shared with you.
Okay. What is the challenge you are facing right now?
I talked about chromatic. When I hear sound, I hear some chromatic chord notes. So I really find it difficult to apply the chromatic playing.
When people say the chromatic movement, it's just the movement of all the keys on the keyboard, right? And so if I'm to go to my keyboard right now, so this is the key of C, right? And then I move from that is basically the chromatic movement. Play something for me. We'll start from there. Maybe your favorite song that you always want to play, then we'll start to build up from there. We're playing in C sharp.
Yeah, C sharp.
So chromatic is basically the movement of those notes, right? Movement of the notes on each key on the keyboard, right? And then you're just going up and down. So and that's what we call the chromatic scale. And so if somebody moves up like this, it's going up the chromatic scale. If a person goes down like that, it's going down the chromatic scale. If you play the chromatic just like that, it becomes muddy and it becomes annoying. So the way we are able to create this kind of chromatic movements that you want is just by adding a few, right? Just sprinkles on those movements to make it seem nice. So now if I'm going to the song that you were playing, if I go, worthy is your name, Jesus, you deserve the praise. Ba-da-da-da-da. One way we can use chromatics, right, is something that we call grace note. Now, a grace note is just, when you are starting with chromatics, you don't start by moving up like that, playing T. You start by 1, then you start by 2, then you start by 3, then you start by like 4. So when I say 1, 2, 3, 4, I mean the chromatic. Now instead of playing your C sharp like that, you could do, these are notes. If I spell the notes out, this is C sharp, this is F, this is A flat. These are melodies that have been put together and then they form a harmony, right? So if I should take one of those notes and instead of going straight to that note, I go a chromatic or a semitone behind the note before I hit the note. That's the first level of the chromatic sprinkles, because I will call it the chromatic sprinkle. So if I'm to play this chord, which is the C sharp, I could do one exercise you can do is that now when you play your chord, you spell your note as C sharp, F, A flat. Now, before you go, you could start, these are the chords that you have to play. Before you start to play the chord, you could start with a C sharp first. You can say, before I go to the C sharp, I want to play a C before I go to the C sharp very quickly. You see? So you could try that exercise. Play your C sharp, the C sharp chord for me right now. Yeah, so zoom out. Now, you see you're putting your hand on C sharp, you're putting your hand on F, you're putting your hand on A flat. Yeah, perfect. So the first exercise I'll give you is that now before you play the C sharp, right, you can find a way to play this. You play the same chord, you play the C sharp, F, A flat, but before you go to the C sharp, before you play the C sharp, play C before the C sharp, like a quick one.
I should play what?
The C before the C sharp, a quick one.
Okay, see.
Yeah, so now you have to change the way you have positioned your hand. No, let's do it slow. Let's do it slow. Let's start with only the thumb and the C. Let's do with only your thumb and then your index finger. I'm trying to hit C. So this is my index.
Okay.
Put my index finger on C sharp. My index finger, put it on C sharp. I put my thumb on C. So now I want to do pana, pana. Let's go, pana. Yes. Yeah. The chromatic, we can do 1 movement, 2 movements, 3 movements, 4 movements. We could do 5, 6 movements. But before we go to 6, we have to start from 1. You understand? Now, we have different ways in which we can do the chromatic. You did 1 for the C sharp. So instead of playing the C sharp chord straight, you went from C to C sharp. So you see the effect? Now I can do for the F. Instead of going to F straight, I can go to E, right? Before I go to F. That's a chromatic movement. Do you understand what I mean?
Okay.
Yes. So this chord, yes, I go. Do you see it? So let me, put your thumb on C sharp, thumb on C sharp, and then put your pinky finger on A flat. Great. Now keep it like this. Now what we are going to do is that we are going to use our index finger, this finger, to move from E, then our middle finger is going to go to F. So it's going to be panang. So try it. E. No. Your middle finger is going to be on F. Your middle finger is going to be at F. Yes. So you do E, F, panang, panang. Do that for me, let me see. The reason why I'm teaching you like basically how to flick, right? But in order for us to be able to flick well, we need to have something we call finger independence, right? This is where our challenge is. That is why we are not able to flick very well. You understand? When I say finger independence, that means that all my hands, like this, they can move on their own. They don't need to, because I see that when you play, now some of the hands want to move with each other, which is causing the problem, right? And it is going to, let's say, cause the problem as we progress. So one of the advices I would give is that Rome wasn't built in a day, right? You have to start by the gradual process, right? If you want to get to a position, you have to start from the basics. You never have to ignore the basics when you are in like music production or when you are doing anything about like the piano, right? And so the finger independence is one of the most important aspects of learning the piano. And so what I can do is that I'm going to still teach you the chromatic, right? But I want to also give you, can you play the major scale for me? Just the simple major scale, the do, re, mi, fa, so, la, ti, do, ti, la, so, fa, mi, re, do. Can you play it for me? Can you play them in chords?
In chord.
Like, yeah, like the do, yeah, and then go to the re. Okay. Okay, play it again. Let me see.
I'm not really tempo, right? Yeah.
So the second chord is the re, which is going to be, it's supposed to be E flat, F sharp, and then B flat, right? Play that for me. Let me see. E flat, F sharp, B flat. Now, if B flat, put your hand on the B. The last note is the B flat. You can see my screen, right?
So I can see it.
Perfect. So now, if I play this note, right? The second note is going to be,
Okay.
yes. Watch my notes. Yes. Yeah. Yes. Now, what I'm teaching you is just the basic triad version of finger exercises that I'm going to show you that's going to improve your finger independence. We're going to do it in the key of C, and we're going to keep the metronome at around 60 BPM, right? And then we want to get to 100 BPM. But what we're going to do is that we're going to play the do, re, mi, fa, so, fa, mi, re, do. Like, that's all. This is the exercise I want you to do. And you add your left, your left hand too, right? So this is the exercise that I'm going to leave you with, that you do, and you add your left hand. So if I'm to play with my both hands, it's going to be, so I'm going to leave you. I'm just going to let you do the exercise. I want to go back to the chromatic, but I want you to understand that the basics is one of the most important things. I want us to go back to the chromatic thing that I was teaching you, right? First of all, play your C sharp major chord again. Now, spell the notes inside the C sharp major chord for me.
C sharp, F, and G sharp or E flat.
Perfect. When somebody says chromatic, that means you are adding notes that are outside the main notes that you are playing, right? And chromatic comes from the Greek word color. So you are adding basically every other note that is not in the notes that you are playing. And so I see that you like to play in C sharp. And so if I play any notes that is even outside C sharp, like C, it's a chromatic, right? Do you understand?
Okay.
And so when you say you want to play like those chromatic notes that embellish the songs, right? I want to just make you know that we can start with the main chord that you play, which is the C sharp. You just strike the chord, and I'll look at the notes that you've played. A C sharp was an F, was an A flat, right? These are three notes that make up the chord, right? The C sharp. So if I move from C to, this is a chromatic, but I'm going to C sharp, right? This is the chord that I want to play. So if I move from C to C sharp, that is a chromatic. Now if I play the C sharp chord, right? The notes that are inside, if I want to move chromatically, what I need to do is that I first of all need to know which notes are inside the chord. The chord that we're playing is C sharp major chord, right? And the C sharp major chord is made up of C sharp, F, and A flat. If I move backwards, I get C. If I move forward, I get D. In F, if I move backwards, I get E. If I move forward, I get F sharp, right? Then A flat, if I move forward, I get A. If I move backwards, I get G. Then what you have to do is that when you are trying to come up with a chromatic movement, remember I said that a chromatic movement, one chromatic movement, that means a semitone behind or a semitone in front. Or I can go two chromatic movements, so I can go one chromatic, two chromatics, three chromatics, four chromatics. I can go as many chromatics. But when I'm starting, I want to start to learn how to move with the chromatic. I have to start with one chromatic, right? And so if I go to the key of C, I could start by keeping the C sharp. I could play the chord and keep all of this equal. But before I play the C sharp, I can play C before C sharp, or I can play D before C sharp. Do you understand?
Yes, I get you.
Okay, so if I'm to go here, I could do. You see what I'm doing? I'm playing a C before I play the C sharp. I could play a D before I play the C sharp. So or right or so I'm trying different variations. Put your hand on the C sharp again. Let's try this again. So now add your third note, add the F. First of all, before you get to that level of playing it quickly, you have to start slowly. So first of all, we'll do an exercise that we'll put our thumb on the C, lift our thumb up, and then put our thumb on the C sharp. So put everything on the C sharp and play the chord. So play the chord first. Now put your thumb on the C. When you put your thumb on the C, don't play the chord. When you lift your thumb from the C, then you play the chord. Say, yeah, so put your thumb on the C. So you go 1, 2, then you play. Now watch. See? See what I'm doing? Try what I was doing, let me see. Yes. 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 Exactly. This is basically an exercise to help you be able to flick. Use this finger placement, which is the thumb, the middle finger, and then the last finger. Or you have to change the way your fingers are placed because you cannot use the same fingering style that you used for those normal tries. Basically, you do the kind of flicks that I'm talking about. Do you understand? Sing the song again, let me see. Okay. You see, I'm doing it. So I could do. You see, instead of playing the file like that, I did or right. That's like a chromatic movement.
Can I ask you a question?
Okay.
Okay, concerning like moving from like this one for far, like doing the chromatic like instead of going to far, just do this particular note.
Yes.
This is
Yes.
part of the C sharp note, which is me. So I was thinking that it's not supposed to be among the it's not supposed to be called a chromatic since it's a scale or on C sharp. Am I like, I don't know if I'm
Yeah, you're right. You're right. It's not called a chromatic at that point. Now we just people will just call it like a flick or a grace note, or you hear somebody say grace note, or somebody say a slur or a flick. All of those things are right. But now when we start to move to notes that are not in the diatonic scale or the scale that you're inside, then we start to say chromatics, right? So somebody can do, instead of going to the far, he can do. Now this is not in the scale of C sharp. So
on C sharp, yeah.
so he did. So you see, one of the most common ways people do the chromatic is just by if I'm playing a chord, I go to the third. So what is going to be the third of this chord? This C sharp chord, what is the third?
The third is me.
And what is the third? Right? What's the name of the note? It's me, but now tell me what's the name of the note?
That's F.
Okay, good. So with the F, people like to go a half step behind the F or half step behind the note. So if the half step behind the note is this, right? A semitone behind the note. So this is F. People like to go a semitone behind the F, and then before they come to the F, and that will give you the chromatic. So if I play it, it's going to look like this. You see? You see it? So I play the chord, but I play this first. You see? Try it yourself and let me see. C sharp chord, and now you know where your chord is. F. So yes. So you have to squeeze your index finger and your middle finger at that side. So you use your index finger to play the E, and then you go to the middle finger and play the F. Yes. No. So right now you're just playing you're playing the C chord, the C sharp major chord. So just play the C sharp major chord for me. Okay. And now what I want you to do is this. You hear it? Yes. You have to position your finger in such a way that it doesn't touch the F sharp every time. So this exercise, just take your time, relax, and just practice it. put a metronome on it, right? Have a timing and play it slowly, right? Be doing this exercise.
Okay, I want to ask, you can say that just like you said, one of my challenges is maybe finger independence and finger placement and all that. So I don't know the kind of exercise that I should be doing to enable my finger gain independence both the left and the right hand. Because sometimes even some simple intros, I can't play them using my two hands, like using two hands, just because of finger placement and all that. So I don't know the kind of finger exercises that.
One of the things that we can do is that we can just keep the simple major scale, right? You know how to play your do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do in C, right? So do that for me right now. Let me do. Okay. So now, one of the things that we can do is that now I want you to be able to play. Have you found your metronome? I want you to be able to play the C with your left hand and your right hand, right? That is going to build, that's the first level of building the finger independence. Being able to play those two together. So let me see your left hand. Yeah, okay. Now, so play it again, let me see. So the left hand is 5, do, 4, 3, 1, 2, 1, yes, 3, 2, 1. Now come back. 1, 2, switch. No. When you reach the 3, then you switch. Use your thumb back to switch.
Okay.
Yes, exactly. Yes. With that, the way you are now giving me skills, I want you to now play that with your right hand and your left hand all together. Do you understand? With that one, you take your time, you don't rush. You understand? You do your left hand and your right hand because your left hand and your right hand are going to be different movements, right? One is going to be do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, ti, la, so, fa, mi, re, do. You understand? And that is what is one of the ways in which is going to build that finger independence for you. Because you need that finger independence to be able to play a lot of things on the piano. I have a lot more finger exercises on my channel. If you type finger exercises, there are so many more. But the one that I want you to focus on is being able to play with your left hand and your right hand. When you get to that level, you are building what we call muscle memory. Now your hand doesn't always have to think before you play, right? And that is the kind of level we want to get to every time we are playing. That thing comes with time. We don't rush it. I hope you understood everything I said about the chromatics.
Yes, we do.
Yes.
I really understand all you said, and I will start practicing and applying them gradually.
I really appreciate. Now, the reason why I want to make sure that like at least I leave you with something that you can always use to like practice. You know, and the thing about learning the piano is that most people quit too early. There's a saying, the only way out is through. This is the challenge you have. You don't have fingers good enough to be able to play the things that you want to play. And the only way out of this struggle is through the struggle, is through sitting down, playing the most boring skills in the world, getting those fingers strong enough. When you get those fingers strong enough, now, when you're able to hop onto other things, you'll be able to play them beautifully because your foundations are now solid. And so never neglect the basics, and just remember the only way out is through. How you feeling? How you feeling? I forgot to ask.
I feel excited. I feel excited. And, I have really done enough. It's just an hour. So I feel excited. I never
So,
knew you have such time. When I follow your YouTube video, of course, that was how I got to get your invite, telling that you would like to have a one-on-one class. So I was thinking that maybe you might not be able to have some time. I just think let me just try. And yeah, here. So thanks so much.
yeah. The reason why you are like you're on this call is because you're on the wait list, and then there are already people in like the mentorship that are mentoring. And basically called the Controller Master Key. It's a 120-day mentorship where I take you from knowing nothing on the keyboard to now getting to that level of being able to play the songs that you've always dreamed of playing, with having like the dexterity and the finger independence that you always wanted to be able to have, right? And because there are people in the mentorship, that's why you are on the wait list. I would always make sure that I'll inform you when there are slots open. You understand? And so
Thank you so much.
I would just appreciate that you just do the major skill thing that I said, and then just practice it as time goes on, which is going to be very, very important. Thank you so much, you two, and we'll definitely meet.